May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Happy Friday, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. And I am Scott Robertson, your host, and a man who wished he had a time machine so he could go back and put some money on the Cubbies to win. Back to the Future joke.
Is that me? If I had
that's you.
If I had a time machine, I probably... Well, no, I guess that would be the way to go.
That'd be the way to go.
I'd have to... Well, first I'd have to go forward, get the sports almanac.
There you go. There you go. And that's Paul, by the way, speaking up from Miramar Air Force Base, just outside of it, in the less classified area of Miramar Air Force Base in San Diego. How's it going, Paul?
Pretty good. Finally Friday.
Yeah, right on, man. Right on. Well, I think it's cool to see the Cubs and the Indians in the World Series. I mean, it can't be the same teams every year, people. Mix it up a little bit. Get some different, and those are two great teams. I mean, I enjoy, whether it's your team or not, you can certainly appreciate some good baseball, and you're seeing plenty of it in the World Series so far. So, good luck to both of those teams. I'm personally a St. Louis Cardinals fan, so we waved bye around. I think they're out by like the middle of September, but still had to keep playing. So, but then anyway, Cardinals will live to fight another day, I'm sure. And if you have a question for me out there in Radioland, you can always email me at scott@robertsoncom2ms.com, and I will answer anything right here on the show. You can always find my post, my client news clips, other things that I find interesting, think you might find interesting, at our Robertson Com Facebook page. That's my company, Robertson Communications, and I represent a lot of different music brands and B2B service brands, all kinds of different clients in my business. And you can also find us on Twitter at RobertsonCom. So reach out, connect. I'll entertain you, and you will hopefully get some cool tips too. Today's show, episode 32. Episode 32. Look at that. Is what I call marketing encouragement. And basically, marketing, it's tougher than ever in 2016. And there you are out there trying to make everything work, trying to connect, trying to create relationships, trying to just rock the house in your marketing against a backdrop of what I'm going to call the others, who are out there to do everything that they can to destroy what little credibility the profession of marketing has left. I talk about that subject a lot, but today I'm going to talk about some of the reasons I think we should be encouraged. Today I'm going to offer some marketing encouragement out there, and talk about a lot of the things that I think we have hope to turn the ship around. And of course we'll always review who's winning and losing this week in marketing and communications. So hopefully today's show will leave you a bit entertained, and hopefully if I do my job right, then you're going to be encouraged. So segment one, I like to call "We Are Both the Problem and the Solution." Marketing hasn't been around that long. By most people's clock, the profession of marketing is just about a little over 100 years old. So, and in the span of, human beings being here and that sort of thing, that's really not a lot. That's really not a long time. So let's, before we can kind of study the present and dig into the future, I think we need to kind of know what came before us. Here's a little timeline for you. In the year 1450, none of you were alive, Gutenberg, not Steve Gutenberg, the handsome young man from the Police Academy movies, but the actual Gutenberg, the first Gutenberg, created the metal movable type, which was the beginning of a printing press, and which led eventually to the mass production of flyers and brochures. So the problem started in about 1450, just so you know. In the 1730s, we saw magazines appear for the first time, magazines. And in 1836, in France, the first paid advertising was found in a newspaper. So really now the problem is growing. Now you got a problem. In 1839, like I said, shortly thereafter, the invention of marketing, here comes the first ban of marketing. In 1839, we saw the first posters on private property banned in France. Look at France, just taking the lead in marketing. Nice. Good work. In 1864, the earliest use of the telegraph for mass unsolicited, the first spam, really. I mean, is what you could say in 1864. That's when it all started happening. In 1867, we have our first earliest recorded billboard rentals. Yeah. And, one of the coolest things about Orange County, California, when you drive through Orange County, California, you will notice that billboards are banned here. There are no billboards. When you're driving the lovely 5 freeway from scenic and awesome Los Angeles, California, through Orange County and into San Diego, you will notice all of a sudden the billboards stop, right? Well, that is because the Orange County folks, the government, said no to billboards and have been able to hang on to that ban all the way through modern times. So take note of that. Next time, if all of a sudden you're like, wow, it seems nicer in Orange County than it did in LA. A lot of that is because you don't have 1,000 billboards shouting for your attention. Because the only people that want to see billboards on the side of the freeway are advertisers, right? If you're an advertiser and you use billboards, you should start with the idea that nobody wants you there. Now earn it. Now show us why it should be there. Very important. I don't think enough marketing people take that into consideration. But if you want to see an area that has no billboards, just drive through my neck of the woods in Orange County, and you'll see it. In the 1880s, we saw the earliest examples of trademarks used as branding. That language started in the 1880s. And I'll just skip forward here because we could just do this all day, couldn't we? In 1908, the Harvard Business School opened. And that's important because Harvard Business School was very important in marketing. Still has a lot of commentary about the profession in general. In 1920s, we saw radio advertising commencing. In the 1940s, the first computers were developed. And in 1941, we had our first recorded use of television advertising. So that's when that medium was ruined, or the beginning of when that was ruined by marketing. Then in the 1950s, here's one. We had the systemization of the first telemarketing. So with my time machine that I'm going to use to go put some money on the Cubbies, we need to fly back in the 1950s. We need to find out who thought about telemarketing, and we need to kidnap or bludgeon that person to where they can no longer utter that get those words out, and then we could stop all telemarketing at the same time. By the way, in the 1970s, techies attribute that being the first e-commerce was invented. In 1980s, we saw the emergence of a few things. Database marketing is a precursor to customer relationship management. We saw the emergence of relationship marketing and the emergence of computer-oriented spam. Yes, it started in the 80s. There you go. In 1984, you started to hear the term guerrilla marketing. In 1985, desktop publishing really democratized the production of print advertising. And then a whole bunch of people who had something to say now had a way to say it. And good Lord, did that mess everything up, I got to say. In the 1990s, we have, customer relationship management gaining dominance in promotions and marketing planning. From 95 to 2001, we had the .com bubble, which temporarily redefined the future of marketing as they broke a lot of rules and as it related to branding and that sort of thing. In 96, we started seeing viral marketing. And discussing how I'm moving messages like a virus. And then really in 2000s, we started to see more integrated marketing. And we started to see much more research being done about the relationships between psychology and marketing. So marketing's had kind of a storied past. But for every breakthrough and jump in communication that mankind has had, I will submit to you that marketing has been there to at least attempt to screw it up. And we do that. Our profession is responsible for the destruction of human communication. And every single time the party moves to a different pool, marketing is there to pee in it, right? That is their plan. That is the plan. So, what we're going to talk about in terms of, so we need to know kind of where we came from. So we know what, we can talk about what's working and then what isn't working here in the presence. So first of all, we've got, here in the present, there's a few things. Oh, hey, Paul, I can hear you. Just so you know. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. Trying to talk to people, and I got voices in my head, more than the usual voices that I have in my head, just so you know. So where was I? Oh, the present, of course. We're talking about what's working and what isn't. And a lot of this show deals with the present. But I thought it was good to start this part off by just talking about the past, and you can see shortly after things have been developed, you see people pushing back and people saying, wait, the first posters were developed. And then a few years later, the first posters were banned. The first billboards were developed and then the first billboards were banned, right? That's marketing's relationship with communications as a society. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, Scott, you're a marketer, and it's like, hey, we're all in this together. You know what? There's no way I can sit up there and do what I do for a living and just go, well, that was all them and I do something entirely differently. It's a no. It's like we're all in this boat together. And actually, that's why I think it's going to kind of be encouraging by the time we kind of turn this thing around. But let's talk about the present. So what's working today? Trust is at an all-time low on our major pillars and institutions of society. Trust in government is at an all-time low. Trust in organized religion is at an all-time low. Trust in business is at an all-time low. So your major pillars, right? A lot of that's due to irresponsible marketing. Well, let me back up. A lot of that's due to irresponsible behavior, and then amplified by irresponsible marketing. I mean, let's face facts. If there's not people acting, poorly, then there's probably less of a crisis. Most crises you can trace back to some bad human decisions. We do that. People make bad decisions. And then communications just tends to make it a little bit worse. A lot of things we talk about in this show fall in that bucket. So in the present, what's working? Again, trust at an all-time low. So I personally believe that people are thirsty for trust. They want it from anywhere. Word of mouth is probably your strongest marketing tool that you can have. But it's hard to mobilize. It's very hard to mobilize because if you get caught trying to mobilize it and trying to incentivize it and trying to pay people and give people a product and those kind of things, and you get the influencer, problem that we discussed, on a previous show. The fact that it only works if it's real, and to make it real, it's got to be real, and that's hard to mass produce for a brand. It's it's sort of lightning in a bottle. It happens sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. But it's not always completely predictable. I think public relations works. I think we still have some trust in the media, and I've seen with my clients that if we can get the media to come in with us and hand in hand tell a story about a new product launch, about a new company launch, about something that educates, that moves the needle forward, then we can see the behavior that we're trying to get from our folks, which is hey, buy this, or think this way about this issue, or what have you. Marketing's out there trying to influence it. But I think public relations, enlisting the media, is one of your best arrows that you can have in your quiver. And I don't just say that because I'm a public relations person, because as you know, if you've looked at my background, I'm an everything person in marketing. I'm an expert on every aspect of it that you can name, whether it comes to advertising to any audience, whether it comes to digital marketing, whether it comes to public relations, whether it comes to SEO and all those other things. If you're going to be in this industry, you better be well steeped in all the arrows that are going to be in the quiver, and I am. So I say that without too much bias, in the sense that I believe that public relations just flat out works better. And it flat out has a better ROI than just about anything that you can name. So in the present, we're looking for things that build trust. In the future, what's interesting, I found an article just about some of the things we're going to see in the future, and I find that really fascinating. The fusion of experiential and digital marketing can be really, really fascinating. Experiential marketing has been around for a long time, but it's really been thrown into the limelight as you kind of see what kind of power it can hold with digital marketing. Really, it appeals to more senses than just one and provides an experience that involves the brand. And so experiential marketing is definitely something that can grow and something that will grow, I think, as marketing tries to be more interesting and tries to earn its place more than just try to interrupt its place. And that kind of thing. And as you know, if you're a longtime listener to the show, you know that I'm not a fan of interruption marketing. I'm not a fan of things that interrupt in order to get attention. I'm a fan of things that are great and get attention because they deserve attention. Very much like I'm definitely a disciple of Seth Godin, who says that, you know, you want to make your marketing better, make your product or service completely unbelievable first. Do that first. And then spend time worrying about, you know, and then the marketing will be much more of an offshoot of that, rather than than marketing trying to kind of load the cannons and shell the shore. I think it's interesting when you talk about the future of marketing too. Some of this it falls in the area of brand storytelling. You know, in the reality in today's world is that sort of branded content it's either dead or it's on life support. And what that means is, what I mean by that is, if they know it comes from you, it's going to be harder for you to have that trust and credibility. We talked about trust in business at all-time low. So especially if it's just trying to push the brand and it doesn't have anything educational or interesting and you know, and those kind of things in it. But I do think that the idea of telling a story, or, you know, around a brand can be really fascinating. And I think that, you know, much more than like a billboard, you know, for what you're doing, it's much more about involving your target audience in a story that they want to hear and that, you know, has an intrinsic tie to the brand. But it's that tie. That's the details where the rubber meets the road on this stuff. It's really, really important. So we kind of saw a few things in this segment. You know, we saw the past, a little bit of the present, some of the future. And hopefully we're on our way to being encouraged by the time this whole thing's over. Right now, you're tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Air Talk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Come on back, and we're going to talk about who's winning and who's a-losing. Thank you.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Hey, it's Tracy Smith
and Beth Venus
of Girls Talk Rock right here on the EnterTalk Radio Network.
Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, Beth, they know that, but we want you to know that the industry pro's choice is Silver Tiger Production.
SDP is a full-service production agency offering sound, lighting, installations, talent buying, staffing, backline equipment rental, and sales. Kapow!
It's everything in the entertainment performance industry. It's all that. SilverTigerProduction.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Yeah. Happy Friday. You are right on back with May the Best Brand Win on EnterTalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, back for segment 2, hanging out with Paul. Paul, did you enjoy the timeline of marketing?
Yeah, it goes back pretty far.
I love the fact that for every, I didn't read all of them, but for every time they would talk about something happening in marketing, they would talk about it being banned.
You could probably go back to like cave paintings.
Yes, exactly. Oh, man figures out how to write, how to write on cave wall. A couple of years later, writing on cave walls banned. That's us, folks. That's us marketers. We're like that, unfortunately. Oh, man. But let's talk about who's winning and losing, and then we're going to get back to more reasons to be encouraged. This week in winning, AT&T is merging with Time Warner. Big old merger. $85.4 billion worth of merger coming at you. I'm going to put them in the winning column. I think so far the press has been it's been pretty good for it. I think it's been interesting. To me, it's it's interesting. Everybody I've ever known who's had Time Warner for cable, for example, has been really disappointed. And then lots of people who have AT&T, for like Uverse and stuff. I know a lot of people who have been disappointed for that too. So I don't know, you put two disappointments together and does that like two wrongs make a right kind of opportunity, or do they have it figured out and is it right? But I definitely put them in the winning category, but I certainly think, AT&T owns DirecTV. Now they're buying up a big cable provider. I mean, you don't have to look too far to realize that, AT&T, which was, of course, busted up, years ago and created a lot of small companies, is now, kind of sucking up like the Terminator and Terminator 2. All the little parts are coming back together in liquid form to create this, big old blockbuster. But still an interesting story nonetheless. And like I said, I'm going to put AT&T. I'm going to go ahead and firmly put them in the winning category, at least this week. But you never know. Next week could be a different story. Losing this week, Subway. Yikes. A lot of problems for Subway. Subway executives, apparently from a lawsuit that was filed and is going on right now in Indianapolis, Subway executives were notified at least 3 times that former pitchman Jared Fogle had a sexual interest in children and had exploited them, but failed to act. Yikes. So not only their pitchman, engaging in this horrible behavior, but the fact is that they knew about it and covered it up. And that's always going to be worse. Let's put on our public relations caps for just a moment. When you do something like that and you're busted and it comes out, especially if it comes out in court, you haven't owned up to it in any way, this is going to be, a serious problem. Both now, the question is, obviously these people are going to be fired or shown the door. We know that. The question is, at what point does this become, extinction level event for the Subway brand? At what point do people go, man, this company must be corrupt from the neck up, down, sideways, every other way? And what does that mean, for their reputation of producing sandwiches? And then there's some people in this world who are like, you know what, I want a sandwich and I don't care. It just sort of depends who you are and how you attack that. But I definitely put them in the losing column this week. They are struggling right now to try to figure out what they're going to do and what they're going to say. And obviously it's in the span of a court case. So there's only, when stuff like that's coming out of a court case, you can't always talk about it because it could jeopardize the outcome of the court case. And you got legal and PR just at each other's throats, probably over there figuring out what they can say and what they can try to do to make sure the brand doesn't swirl down the commode. Next on the show, let's see, we have winning. We have digital ads. As I mentioned last week, digital ads are, a record number of spending, and they've overtaken television. But here's a real interesting cut of that data. Digital ads are going to overtake traditional ads in local markets by 2018. So that's really, really interesting, talking about the digital transformation of local-focused ads in communities across the country. And, obviously this has, all kinds of potential to be disruptive to a lot of, very, very traditional type of businesses. Most notably, your newspapers, your radio stations, your media that count on local ads. Are they going to be the ones who continue to get local ad revenue, or are they going to be, included in this digital ad transformation? I don't have time to dig into every aspect of the story, but I definitely recommend you taking a look at it in Ad Age this week, all about digital ads overtaking traditional ads. And I'm going to put that in the I'm putting the winning category for digital ads, but obviously the losing category as well for for the local advertising. Losing this week is Vine. Vine, the first real, social network, social technology to really incorporate short videos, which was purchased by Twitter, and now Twitter is going to shut it down. They're going to wind down Vine's operations. The website is going to remain online because they think it's still important to watch all the incredible Vines that have been made, and you've seen Vine but they're going to be shutting down Vine. Which isn't a ridiculously huge surprise given the fact that, obviously Twitter wants to drive online videos and online video creation to its main platform, which is known as, wait for it, Twitter. There you go. So anyway, sorry, Vine, you're out. Losing, another artificial intelligence story that I don't know if these stories just scare the crap out of you or if it's just me, but Google has created its own, Google's AI has now created its own form of encryption. So you have two neural networks passing secret notes that human beings can't encrypt. Now, having seen this movie before and knowing how it ends, you got to ask the question, what is the matter with you people at Google creating this stuff? And here's my follow-up question. What is your plan when it goes rogue? When it goes rogue and does something it's not supposed to be doing, what is exactly your plan to explain it? Is it going to be I'm just a scientist, man. I just make sure it can't. But it's like, who's over there? Where's the should police in this company? Because computers, I don't know, call me old-fashioned, should not be creating encryption themselves that we can't crack. That seems like it could be problematic in the future. I have visions of my kids with, shoulder-mounted rocket launchers in trenches going, if only, the generation before us wasn't quite so stupid, we would still have a life that didn't include, shooting hunter-killer robots down out of the sky. Anyway, I'm just saying that's going to be losing, humanity. Look into it. Let's put some shackles on these scientists that are working on AI. It scares the hell out of me that every week there's a new AI story and it does something crazy. Hey, speaking of, let's talk about driverless cars. And I'm going to put it in the winning category because it was a good PR stunt and it was a good way to do it. Basically, Budweiser makes a shipment, 1,000-mile shipment in a driverless truck, 18-wheeler driverless truck, which was filled with beer, which is a good way to do it, honestly, if you got, if you have the driverless truck at your disposal. and they had all kinds of good publicity off of it, which was kind of interesting. If you watch the videos, and I encourage you to kind of check out the self-driving truck, because it's, you have this huge thing flying down the highway, driverless, and we're all like we trust but verify, right? It's like, here's hoping is what you got to say. But there was actually a person in this truck, and that person's job, of course, is if something goes wrong, grab the steering wheel and make sure everybody doesn't die. So. But I'm going to put it I'm going to go ahead and put the driverless truck, it traveled 120 miles. I think I said 1,000. Traveled 120 miles. A professional truck driver was on board the whole time, but did not have to take the steering wheel, and the driverless truck completed its beer run. Now, that's kind of interesting for a couple of reasons, right? The truck driving industry is still pretty big in this country, and those are, human jobs that help, drive trucks and create this supply chain distribution system. If the technology, becomes driverless, to me, it looks like a lot of people could be losing their jobs, right? Because if a company can drive them 24/7, they don't have to worry about fatigue. They don't have to worry about timesheets. They don't have to worry about anything. They've just got computers doing this. And if they're not having a lot of problems, then it would be extraordinarily easy to fire the human beings that are certainly doing that. And that's not a great message to send. The fact that that's going to happen. And obviously, technology does it does do some of our jobs, make our jobs easier. But I think that would. I would be concerned with how that story starts to turn. First driverless truck, yay. Second driverless truck, okay, yay. Oh, there's a fleet of driverless trucks, and now a bunch of people are losing their jobs. And then this story becomes a negative story. So I would definitely encourage the Budweiser and whoever's employing this to make sure that you've got PR in the room and you're talking about all the implications that are going to happen with this whole thing, because it could easily, very, very easily go south, and you just don't want to see that. In the winning category, I want to talk about a rebranding project that I thought was sort of interesting. Have you seen what Jeep's doing? Jeep's celebrating its 75th anniversary right now, and I like some of the things that they're doing. They're basically helping. They're basically giving the customers the keys and letting them sort of drive the brand message. They have got this brand mantra that's "We don't make Jeep, you do," and then they're asking their users to share anecdotes from 20,000 enthusiasts across a dedicated microsite and social platforms. I think it's good what they're doing. I think, as we've seen with the naming type of things, and certainly with Bill Cosby's experience, when you open up the world and say, okay, take control of my brand, you better be sure. You better be ready, and you better be sure. Because Bill Cosby did it and said, hey, meme me. What's the worst that could happen? And did you see what the worst that could happen happened? Did you see it? Right? That's what's called, social media destroying your entire legacy and everything that you ever worked for in your entire life in a period of a couple of years. And of course, obviously wouldn't have happened had the bad behavior not been there, as we discussed previously in the show. But when you open up, remember Bodie McBoatface in England? They said, oh, name our new boat. Never ask the internet to name anything. It's going to be pornographic. It's going to be, probably pretty funny, honestly, got to say. A lot of funny people out there. But it's rarely going to be anything that you can use. So I do think I'm going to put Jeep in the winning category. I think they have courage. They have courage for trying to allow customers to drive the brand message, because obviously people are very interested in themselves. And of course, they're going to be more interested in the brand message if somehow it involves them and their story. And weren't they great when they were doing, like this lady, a millennial woman who loaded her pack of rescue animals into a Renegade, and they went on wilderness excursions and such and such. So, the hashtag My Jeep Story stuff is pretty cool, but you want to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. You want to make sure that it doesn't, Jeeps are used for all kinds of things. What are Jeeps also used for? They're military vehicles, right? What do military vehicles do? That's right. They end people's lives. So it's also important to know that that story could go a different way. If you got to have somebody in the room that's thinking about how could this story possibly go in another way on us. And but I am gonna put them in the winning category, like I said, because I do like and respect the courage of being able to do that with the Jeep. And it's cool that the Jeep brand is 75. I mean, that's a neat accomplishment. Well, cool. Losing this week. Mobile devices not having the greatest holiday forecast. Apple's holiday forecast really disappointed a lot of shareholders and investors and that sort of thing. But what's interesting about it is that Apple investors really expected the company to really take advantage of Samsung's weakness in the smartphone market and issue a pretty robust holiday sales forecast. But they didn't do that. They basically said, a lot of the revenue, especially in the United States, is going to be is not going to be as robust as we thought. Although the company's revenue in China, is still driving forward. And we talked about the most of their app revenue really being driven forward in China right now. But I definitely got to put that in the in the losing category because. People were expecting to see a little bit better out of them. I will say, from a branding perspective, I flew Southwest Airlines yesterday, and before I got on the plane, they basically announced over the loudspeaker. They said, if you have a Samsung Galaxy Note 7 phone, you're not allowed to take it on this plane. You must present, if your phone is Samsung branded at all, you must present it to like the phone police as you're getting on the plane, and they check out your phone to make darn well sure that it's not a Samsung Galaxy Note. Now, I've never seen anything like this before. I've never seen, and I get why they're doing it. Things explosive. That's not stupid. But, from a branding perspective, let's say they hire Scott and you go sit in the room and I say, so our brand is so bad right now that our phones are being inspected at every single airline gate, and our Samsung users are. I saw a few people that pull out their Samsung phone. They're kind of sheepishly like, "Well, mine's not a Galaxy Note 7," and they had to fight with the airline people as to whether it was the offending phone or not. I walked right on with my iPhone. I was like, "Well, that's their problem. It's not my problem." And you know what? That's going to be a lot of people soon because it's not going to be worth the fight. It's not going to be worth the risk. It's not going to be worth the fight. And as I said before, I think that the Samsung Electronics Corporation is in a lot more brand trouble than they think they are. I think that this is going to be a brand, an extinction level event for their brand. But they might be able to repackage under something else and still be able to produce technology because we have kind of a short memory culture-wise on that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's what's going on in winning and losing. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win right here on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Come on back in segment 3. I'm going to give you something to believe in, some reasons to be encouraged about the future of marketing. See you in a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Girls are talking rock again.
And people are listening.
Today we're talking bands.
Let's talk promotion. Red Giant promo, graphics, EPKs, video, photos, social media, and brand building using content marketing.
But let's talk studio at CCMA, which is events, rehearsal, tour prep, piano, guitar, voice, rock band, lessons, workshops, and clinics. Yeah.
Both proud sponsors of Girls Talk Rock.
Well, get the lowdown on these services and contact me, Tracy, at girlstalkrock.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win, back for segment 3 on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, hanging out with Paul. We're talking about artificial intelligence.
Come with me if you want to live. Listen to Best Brand Win if you want to survive.
Yeah, well, you can't have the artificial intelligence and the encryption and all of the things. Arnold Schwarzenegger makes lists of things. If you ever listen to him, he just lists out like it could be a total list of things. You go, at the store, I'm going to buy bread and eggs and milk and butter and crackers, and then I'm going to buy some bread, and then I'm going to, and it's like, and then by the end you're like, was that your shopping list?
There should be an app that does that. Just converts everything into Arnold speak.
I'm very afraid of the artificial intelligence. I'm very afraid. I'm afraid of anything that has intelligence.
It's scary stuff. What you were talking about last week with people hacking the 3D printers.
Yeah.
Just think of the possibilities when you got driverless trucks. I don't know. You probably just put a mirror on the road in front of it, and it freaks out and stops, and you could just go in there and steal all the beer.
Man, I mean, it's still scary. Driverless cars scare me. Driverless trucks scare me. I don't think that, in my experience, science doesn't have nearly as much figured out as they'd like us to think they do. And when it goes south, I would prefer not to be anywhere near it. Yeah. That's my feeling. I don't know. It just, I work in technology a lot, and I see, if any of my clients' stuff blows up, then your patch doesn't work where you're switching, to a different guitar sound or something. But if this stuff goes wrong, you have a giant metal and plastic vehicle flying at you at 65 miles an hour.
Yeah, not fun.
But it could be fine too. I don't know about you, but those cars that can automatically park themselves? Uh-huh. Yeah. I'm scared of that.
You're scared of that?
I always think that, because if that goes wrong, your insurance company goes, yeah, well, you hit that car. You're like, but the artificial parking thing hit the car.
That's true. How does that work?
I don't know.
Who carries the liability for that?
And when they artificially parallel park, I don't know. I'm a big technology guy. I'm a big gadget guy, but that stuff scares me. It continues to scare me. Well, cool. Let's get into segment 3. Actually, I had one more on segment 2 I wanted to hit. So one thing, just in terms of a messaging scenario, that there was a huge, about the time the show was airing last week, actually a little bit before it, there was a huge attack on the internet. Basically, I think we may have mentioned it on last week's show. A lot of popular, internet sites were taken down by it. And the U.S. government issued a statement this week, and they said, quote unquote, "We have no idea who carried out the massive cyber attacks." So, just from a messaging 101 standpoint, no, that's not what you say. That's not what you say. And he was like, well, that's just true. And we're so excited that the government can be truthful to us. There's a difference between truthful and stupid. And here's the difference. Saying we have no idea who carried out the massive cyber attacks makes everybody panic, makes everybody go, well, then you're morons. And then you need to, what's the matter with you? It makes them kind of sort of question you. Here's how you say it. You say, we are investigating this issue currently. We are investigating. We have several leads. For all you know, we're outside their door right now with the friggin' SWAT team. You don't know. And because guess who else is listening to the message? Yes, that's right. The people who did it. They're listening to the message. So you don't put out a message that says we have no idea who carried out the attacks. You say something vague that sounds like this. We are conducting an investigation. We may or may not have a bunch of different leads. It's a criminal thing. We're not going to tell you what we're doing because we're not stupid. You know, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, terrible messaging. Come on, U.S. government. You got all the money in the world. You got all my money. You got all Paul's money. You got everybody's money. You know, you should be able to message that stuff a lot better than that. And cleansing breath. And we're back to segment 3. Now, segment 3 here, I want to talk. I call this "Give Me Something to Believe In." These are some of your reasons to be encouraged about the future of marketing. We talked about the past. We talked about for every time that communications took a giant leap forward, marketing was somehow there to do something bad and get banned. We talked about, hey, here's the first paid ad in a newspaper, and then all of a sudden, wow, why am I looking at this? That kind of thing. We talked about posters being created, and isn't it a wonderful, marvelous thing? And then and in France, and then the earliest ban on private property posters, appears. So, like I said, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction that you can see, of course, the history of marketing. But here's your reasons to be encouraged. And I've got 5 of them. Number 1, the marketing profession is a bunch of highly creative folks. Highly creative. And so I think that for all the faults that marketing has, coming up with creative approaches is not among them. We have the ability to reach people, to entertain people. We have the ability to raise the bar much higher than it ever has been raised before in terms of what we're doing. As long as we sort of start out with the right compass that says this is why we're doing it. And the reason that why we're doing it can't just be because we were told to. It's got to be, you got to know it. You got to understand it. You got to understand what you're trying to do, what your company's place is in the world, and why their message is significant. Because if you lack any of those things, then you're going to fall into the ordinary category with everybody else who's just trying to talk as loudly as they can and sort of buy their way in. But I'm very optimistic because our profession has a lot of creatives in it. And a lot of up-and-coming creatives that are, pushing the boundaries in new areas, in experiential marketing, in, retail store design that connects with people in ways that it hasn't done before. There are a lot of cool things to look out under the horizon. My second reason to be hopeful is the fact that there are more marketers that are really starting to beginning to take note of the real problem and changing the way that they're doing things. We still have telemarketing. We still have a ton of spam. We still have, all these kind of things. But for all of that, we also have marketers that, are paying attention. There's a company called MailChimp, and they're like Constant Contact, except for one very large difference. They respect people's ability to opt into lists, and they always remind you, the marketer, gently, you're they're the service provider, but they have very good messaging that says, hey, you may not want to send to everybody on this list. What we found is that if you do a subsection of this list with a different message and those kind of things, that you get a better return on investment. I like MailChimp. I like, I think that they are on the right side of history when it comes to being, they are a tool that lots of organizations could use to irresponsibly. And they try to guide their users, not just provide a technology tool that's out there, but they try to guide their users to a better way to use it. And I think that is to be commended. And they're not the only one. There are, you've heard me talk about marketing automation, and I don't really like it because I like the fact that people are, thinking things. It's better to be thinking things through rather than just set up and go, well, now the gun is, completely loaded and we can just shoot for months and months and months and not have to ever think about it. that's not good. But the tutorials that come along with these things are starting to advise people and say, yeah, you can, but should you? Kind of like artificial intelligence. That's what's missing in artificial intelligence is, yeah, you can, but should you? Yes, you can, but should you? Right? That's what I like to call Jurassic Park logic, because that argument's made very convincingly in the movie. You know, Jeff Goldblum's character says, you spend all the time in the world thinking of things that you can do, but you never thought about the things that you should do. The should do piece cannot be replaced by machines. Anyway, by the way, that's a human thing. That's a judgment thing. That's an instinct and insight thing that only we can do. Right? So that should give you some encouragement as well, is that we're still useful in this world. Our insight and our judgment, as long as we use it, hello, all the people who are losing in today's segment, not using it. But as long as we use it, we can make this, a lot better. Number 3 reason to be encouraged out there. New channels. New channels. And at the top of the show, I talked about, my analogy of the fact that every time communications creates a new pool and everybody's swimming in it and having a big pool party and they're like, woo, baby, this is awesome. And isn't this great? Isn't this a great pool? It's got water slides and it's great. And we've just taken a giant leap forward in communications. And then marketing comes in and goes, hey, all right, how you doing? And they set up shop and then they kind of pee in it and mess up the whole thing for everybody. Right. And then everybody bails out slowly and they're like, well, this pool's full of stuff, so we're out of here and we're going to find a new pool. Well, the thing you can be encouraged about is the fact that these new channels are coming online. And marketing hasn't screwed these up yet. We haven't. If it's a new channel, if it's something that's completely different and new, then marketing hasn't really had its time yet to figure out how to, quote unquote, utilize it. So, and I think that with every new bit of communication that's created, I'll use virtual reality as an example. Virtual reality is very new. Marketing has no idea how to mess that up. They're working on it. They're in a laboratory somewhere working on it, but they don't know how to mess it up yet. There's major hardware and software coming to market this holiday season that consumers can buy that create a virtual reality experience. We talked about it on this show a couple of times. It's a new channel. It can be a new channel that could be transformative when it comes to communications. It can do things that you've never been able to do before. I don't know if you got a chance to catch Mark Zuckerberg's debut of the Oculus technology and some of the little things that he dropped on people while he was walking around with the virtual reality headset on and showed you what he could do. It's impressive. It's ridiculously impressive is what I'll say. Some of the things that are just built into that can be done are, like I said, have never been able to be done before. So check out that video, by the way. It's just really cool. New channels. New channels represent the opportunity, the hope that maybe we're not going to mess that up this time. Number 4 reason to be encouraged, data. We have better sort of big data. Marketers monitor more effectively than we ever have in the history of human communications. And I think we use that data better than we have before too. And I think it's a great time to be a marketer. We have so much great data at our disposal today. The things that our predecessors had to completely guess at. I mean completely. Or they had to sit in a room. I'm old enough to where I remember focus groups. I used to have to go do focus groups for organizations that I work for. And believe me, man, I mean, it takes you days to get that stuff done. You set them up and people come into a room and you have to listen to them talk forever. And then you have to look at the research reports and you have to ask them the right questions. And the questions have to be, completely verified. And it's just, completely scientific and all these different ways. And man, it is a project and a half. Well, today, people just spout out their opinions all the time. And if you know how to grab them, then you can get the much better equivalent than focus groups. Oh, and by the way, people in focus groups were paid. So that automatically, you automatically have something there that might screw up the experiment. And marketers of old had to settle for that. That's what we had. That's how you knew. That's how you knew what was going on. And it was the best shot that we had. But we have better things today. Big data, for example. Really, I was reading this article called On the Horizon, Unleashing the Power of Big Data in Public Relations. That's out there right now by Mark Weiner and Sarah Cocker. Really interesting story here. And it talks about big data being used in basically for public relations in terms of outputs, which is information that PR departments produce that disseminates with resulting media coverage seeking to affect the target audience. Outtakes, which is the inferences that audiences draw from or respond to via the PR outputs. And outcomes, which are changes within the minds and the behavior of the target audience as measured by awareness, understanding, preferences, and behavior. This kind of stuff is possible today. And one of the things I really like that PR firms are starting to do, one of the things that really gives me hope, is they're starting to do this thing called a landscape analysis, which really, it illuminates the past and the present operating environment. Instead of just tracking competitive PR activity, marketplace developments, this is a big data situation, the landscape analysis broadens the scope beyond PR activity to include business results, general economic indicators, and societal trends, business transactions, and other factors which may be positively affected through improved communications. If you can bring a dashboard together of all the things that are affecting your organization, then you sit in a position where you can help them affect change and really understand what it is that they're trying to do, especially when it comes to communications. I love that. I love the fact that we're using data in new ways and that we're monitoring things more effectively and that it's possible to do all that. Number 5 reason to be encouraged out there is that we are learning more about the human brain and how people think than we've ever known. We still don't know a lot, and there's no doubt about it, but we're a great deal smarter. And if we use that smarts in the right ways, then we can find the place where marketing fits and where it's supposed to fit in sort of the human ecosystem. Instead of being this thing where it's overused and banned, it becomes a thing that can actually be sort of useful to people. And if that happens, then marketing's doing its job, the actual correct way. So hopefully those are some good reasons to be encouraged. I'm encouraged. It has been quite a ride, with marketing so far. We talked about all the way back from 1450 on. It's been quite a ride. And the challenges that companies face to get the word out are really larger than ever. It takes truly great products, truly great services, and truly great content about them to move the needle. When I look at the world of marketing, I have hope. I believe that it can and it should be better. I believe that we provide an important service for companies and consumers, and that our growing army of marketers out there, are going to do it right, and they're not going to be overshadowed by the others. So I want you to be encouraged. I want you to have faith, and I want you to create some truly great marketing out there. Well, that's it for me, marketing fans. Until next week, this is Scott Robertson signing off for May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Have a happy Halloween, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?